Hey everybody, welcome. Today I am so excited to be bringing to you a case study from one of my powerful clients. My name is Desiree Stafford and I help really powerful, ambitious coaches and other transformational experts take their business, their life to the next level with simplicity and ease. And so today we're talking about one of my powerhouse clients that I had the pleasure of working with. Her name is Wallace. She is just a rock star, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to work with her. This is a woman who, comes from a background in design. She's been a design diva for, I believe, about 20 years. She has a podcast, a very successful podcast where she hosts and interviews really powerful people. And she also decided to start a personal brand, which is where I came into the picture to support her. So what I want to do is bring her on here and have her share her story with you so that if you're looking for some inspiration, even some ideas on what you can do to break through to your next level, hopefully you will be inspired by our conversation here today. So Laura, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to see you.
You as well. All right, so talk to us about, what brought you to my doorstep? What brought you to the decision that you wanted to have a coach to support you, to have your back, if you will? Like, you're already doing so many amazing things. What made you decide that you wanted some support?
Yeah, so, I had a lot of things going on. I've ran a successful company for the last 13 plus years. Like you mentioned, I have the podcast, which performs really well. But I just never felt like I was performing at the level that I knew that I could. Like, I just always felt like I was a couple steps under where I knew that I should be and could be in my heart and my soul. And to be honest, it was just pissing me off. Like, I'm like, why is my money not matching my vision? Why is my bank account not matching what I see and feel inside of my heart and inside of my soul? And honestly, like, I remember our very first conversation, I had so many pieces like this, and I needed help, like, with a plan and a path and just someone outside of myself to look at it from a fresh perspective to help me reach those goals that I had, because I am a powerhouse and I do have a lot of great things going on, but I still didn't feel like I was optimized to like who I truly am. So then I came across you and all the stars aligned.
Awesome. So you mentioned the fact that you didn't feel that you were playing at the level that you knew that you were capable of. How was that really impacting you? Like, how was it impacting perhaps even other areas of your life?
Oh, gosh. I actually kind of really love to relive this because it's a great checkpoint along the way. So, at the point that I had hired you, I had gone through a huge transition. It was, I think it was sometime either during quarantine or around quarantine. Like, it was somewhere in the beginning of the pandemic, and I had to make some really hard shifts in my business, but not playing at the level that I knew that I could was really financially impacting me. I mean, I was working my face off. I'm around the clock all the time, hustle mode. Like, if I'm not working, then everything around me is falling apart. And so I was tired and I was exhausted and I was depressed and I had anxiety and, I was dropping balls left and right unintentionally, but I was, just because I couldn't carry that load. And so then I felt guilty and I let people down and all these things were happening. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm so much more than this. So what is happening? So financially it was impacting me, but also mentally and physically it was impacting me as well. So I was kind of in this like perfect storm tornado that I needed help getting out of.
Yeah. So what you just described is what so many powerful women, powerful people experience, because we have the tendency to project that we have it all together. And for the most part, we do. I mean, we can handle a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it really takes, in my opinion, a level of courage to be vulnerable enough to, number one, recognize where you need support and to actually seek it and then be able to receive it, right? Because part of our identity sometimes is built around our ability to handle it all. And sometimes then we become the bottleneck, right? Because we can't physically handle it. We can handle so much more than many others, but we're not superhuman, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of close. So
pretty close, but not 100%.
Right. So I just want to acknowledge you for, recognizing that you wanted some support in that area, because one of the things from myself and my own personal growth was when I recognized that, wait, I really identified as a smart person who can figure everything out. I'm a problem solver. I solve problems for people, so I should be able to solve my own problems. And I was like, wait a minute, that's actually not how it works, right? Like sometimes we do need support, because just because we're smart doesn't mean we have all the answers. It sometimes means knowing when to ask for some support to get the perspective that we need, to get the guidance that we need to really help us expand in a way that we know that we're capable of. So talk to me about what your experience was working with me in terms of the support that you received. Like, what do you feel made the biggest impact in you finally feeling like you could free yourself? Because we've had that conversation before. It wasn't just about the financial, like you talked about. It was also this real deep desire to free yourself, to be more of who you know that you're meant to be. So talk to me about what we did together that really helped you in that way.
Yeah. First, I want to kind of touch on something you just talked about. And that was like when I first started working with you, I had this like deep sense, and even leading up to working with you, I had this deep sense of like, I should have had this figured out by now. Why do I have to hire one more coach? Why do I have to do one more thing? Like, I'm at a place in my career and in my business where I feel like I should just know these things. So what are you doing, Laura? So there was this part of me that was like, I realized so much in working with you that I beat myself up so bad. Like, good night. Like, put on the boxing gloves and put me in a ring with myself, and we're going down. Like,
Yeah.
somebody's going down. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that really I was able to release, or at least be way more aware of, because, you know, I'd be lying if I didn't say those thoughts still cross my mind sometimes, because we are human. But, you know, I'm just so much more gentle with myself. Like, I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have all the answers. My only job is just to allow. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that you helped me with, was embracing my inner allow, you know, because I was fighting myself. Like, there was so much tension in my life and in my business that I was unintentionally restricting my abundance. Like, you know what I mean? But when you release those preconceived like thoughts and feelings, or maybe what someone else has told you, or someone else's feelings about your vision, you know, I'm a visionary, and I know a lot of the women that you work with are visionaries. And so oftentimes we think and feel like, well, why can't I just be satisfied with what I have? Why do I need to do more? Why do I have to have all this other stuff? Why can't I just be okay with where I am? And it's like, because I'm not. Because there's something larger calling me. So that's kind of a roundabout way of, you know, getting back to your original question, is like how we work together. You know, our weekly calls were so powerful because they held me accountable. And it gave me an opportunity to have a sounding board outside of my own head, because inside of my head is real freaking loud sometimes, and it's noisy. And I often equate it to being in a crowded bar and not knowing where the exit door is. Like, it's a whole place up there sometimes. So our call just allowed me, like, first of all, we always celebrated, which I love. We always talked about the wins. You know, as powerhouse women, we're often on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And we're like, oh yeah, I did that thing that one time. It's like, now let's pause. Let's celebrate what we have actually accomplished. But then we would talk about what's going on and what was coming up that week, and what restrictions was I putting on myself, and how was I talking to myself. And so it just helped me be aware of myself and my thoughts and my feelings, and where I was unintentionally putting like barriers up and blocking that abundance.
Yeah. What I mean, you just said so much that it's so true, and it's so real, and it's so, it makes the biggest difference between a certain level of success and that next level of success that we know that we are meant to experience. And I, for myself, had to learn the lesson of self-compassion, right?
Yeah.
Of not berating myself, because that actually doesn't work. Like, it can get you to a certain point, which is, I believe that we do what works until it stops working, right? It will get you to a certain point, but then when you feel like you're banging your head up against the wall, something needs to change. And so often what we do, especially as powerhouses, there's this belief, and there are many different reasons why we believe what we believe, right? But often we have this belief that if it's meant to be, it's up to me, and that's true. But there's a way in which we get to learn to play the game differently, where we can play it in a way where we can start to leverage our energy, where we don't have to try to wrestle the problem to the ground, or even wrestle the vision to the ground. But we then start to work with our thoughts and our emotions differently, which creates a different type of energy that starts to magnetize what we desire to us. So one of the things that I remember you were wanting was not only more success, but you wanted more success with simplicity and ease. And the way in which to do that is we have to shift the way we relate to ourselves, to what it is that we desire, and how things come into being, right? And I think that's a lot of the work that we did together that was so powerful, because it was like, wait, because this is something I struggled with for a long time myself. I had a grandmother who came over to this country and worked 2 jobs, had to go into the hospital because she was exhausted from working so hard to bring her kids over here. Then my mother and her siblings, like the modeling, I'll just say my family is West Indian. And there was this saying that we worked 3 jobs, right? And I did in college, I had like 3 jobs and 2 businesses. It was like,
oh my gosh. Because
we believe that we have to do so much. We have to work so hard. And it was honestly a mindfuck for me to recognize when I came into this industry. I resisted for a really long time because I couldn't believe that you could experience greater levels of success faster and actually easier by shifting your relationship with yourself, with how you create all of those kind of things. So it's important what you mentioned in terms of really doing that inner shifting in order for you to be able to start to allow in more of what you desire. Because what we sometimes do is we unconsciously resist more because we think that it has to be harder. And if it doesn't come with struggle, then we're like pushing it away. It can't be this easy. And I have a lot of clients who have struggled with that. I have a lot of clients who have felt even guilty and ashamed when what they desire comes so fast and so easily. So it's making sure that we do the inner work so that we can expand our capacity to receive and actually allow what we desire in without the struggle. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what you were able to accomplish. Tell me about like your course that you launched and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I launched the Power Back course, which was a long time coming. It was a thought and an idea that I had in my soul for quite some time. Through the beginning of the COVID journey, I realized that I was, living my power back journey. And so I feel really empowered to turn around and then teach other women how to take their power back. And so I wanted to create a course because, like you mentioned, one of my goals was to just invite ease and simplicity into my life. I'm a free spirit, I'm a free bird, and I don't like to be tied down. But I like to also really impact people. So I am definitely one of those people where I had to release the idea that, like, if I'm not grinding, then I'm not making money. Like we're taught as a society, I think, that hustle equals good. Hustle equals money. And I think there's a period of time sometimes when you need to lean in and hustle, but then it's, allowing yourself to step out of that and really, kind of reap the benefits. But so I launched the course on 1/11, and I had one of the craziest things about this course is you taught me that it doesn't have to be done in order to be able to sell it. And I was like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's ridiculous. And almost
all together, I was like, no.
Yeah. I had this, again, kind of preconceived idea that I picked up obviously from somewhere that it had to be done and perfect in order to launch it. So I had such hesitation, and it felt really big to me and really heavy and like all these things. And you're like, I'll never forget, you told me, you're like, you sign up for college courses before you know the content that you're going to get. And I was like, what? It was like some kind of mad scientist secret that you gave me. And I was like, that's so true. Like, how many times do we buy things ahead of time without truly knowing like every step or everything or all the details? And like, no, it's about the belief and the transformation and ultimately the problem that you're solving. So I pre-sold it and people bought it before it was even done. And I was like, what? And it's such a different energy compared to, I have another like micro course called Brand Starter. And it's a very low dollar, like entry level, how to start a business type of thing. And my energy in creating that course is so different than the energy in creating the Power Back course. And the Power Back course is a much higher ticket dollar amount than the original course. And I only sold one of the other one. And this one has already sold multiple and it wasn't even launched yet. So, it's just, it's proof that when you shift your energy around it and the energy that you put into it, and then even the energy that you're putting out to the people to receive it, I mean, it's crazy. So it's launched, it's up, it's operating. My engagement on my social platforms has gone up and up and up, just because like my energy is there. You know what I mean? Like I've released all the other bullshit. It does pop up from time to time, but I see it coming like a freight train. And it's up and it's exciting. And it feels different. That's the best way that I can put it.
Yeah. So I love that you shared that. And I remember when you said to me, I think when the first spot sold, you're like, I made money in my sleep. And I was like, okay, because that was a dream of yours, right? So that's pretty awesome. Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned was that sometimes the beliefs pop up. And that goes back into what we talked about just a minute ago, where we don't beat up on ourselves when that happens. And so you've learned not to do that, because so often we think that, and we've talked about this concept of arriving. I remember believing in that concept for a long time. I believe that once I hit, let's say 100K a month, that to me was the mark that I arrived. And then when I got there, I was like, but I'm still having these beliefs. Something is wrong. There isn't anything wrong, right? We are spiritual beings, yes, but we also have human experience. And that means that we're going to experience all different types of emotions. We're going to be confronted with beliefs that don't serve us. We just have to have the tools to shift through that. And you've learned those tools, and it's been so powerful for you, because it's now what allows you to keep going instead of getting stuck and sitting in procrastination or beating up on yourself, which kind of puts us in the other direction. You know, so many times, really powerful women like you and I, and probably the people who are watching this, we have this fear of being too much, right?
Oh, girl.
We have so many experiences of people pushing back or not being able to handle our energy or our power or any of that kind of stuff. And so I think that oftentimes what happens is when we then have these beliefs that trip us up or that frustrate us, then we compound the fear of being too much. And then we pile on, you know, why am I having this belief? So it's like, we're getting beat up from the outside world, and then we beat up on ourselves, and we compound the whole thing, and it squashes the spirit of a really powerful person. So what you've learned how to do is to release all of that gunk and really get your power back. I mean, you already had it, but it's now like on this next level, which I'm really proud of you for, and also the clients you're getting to serve because of that. You're also doing what you call power back hours. And I remember on our last call, we talked about the pricing of that power back hour. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like how your mindset around that shifted?
Yeah. So, you know, it was allowing myself to charge the money that my soul knew was right. But like, I just felt like nobody's going to pay that. Nobody wants that. Nobody can afford that. We're in a pandemic. Nobody's going to do it. Like all these, like, you know, things. And I remember our very last call, which was maybe even one of our most profound ones, because it was such a huge shift, was, you know, I had set a price for my power back hour, and I had a few people sign up for it, which felt awesome in the moment. And then I remember like looking at my calendar, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like I'm lowballing this. Like I bring so much more to the table than this. I want to raise the price, but it kind of feels ridiculous. And, you know, I mentioned that to you, and you're like, hold my beer. And so we completely shifted that. And it's, you know, it's a dollar amount now that still kind of stretches me. You know, I still look at it sometimes and I'm like, okay, but I acknowledge it. And I'm like, no, I know the power that can happen and shift in an hour or 3 hours. And so I switched the mindset to think about the transformation that she is going to have. She meaning, you know, my client on the other side of the call. And so I changed the price. Like that afternoon, I got online, I changed the numbers, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm no longer going to make myself small in order to make everyone else more comfortable. And if you think about everyone else, it's just like, it's this stadium of silhouettes, right? Like we're looking at all these people assuming that they don't want to pay it. It's like, look, Tiffany's sells a silver can for like $8,000 online, and people buy it and put it on their desk. Like money is out there. It's a frequency. And I just have to allow myself to step into that frequency.
Yes. I wanted to talk about, I'm glad you shared that, because I remember when we first started working together, that was a harder decision for you to make, right? Because you had to go through some things and shift some beliefs, release some of the stuff that we all collect, right? In order to
Yeah.
get yourself to a place, to give yourself permission to, I think, like 10x the price of that. One of the things I want to say about that, though, and I think this may have been part of what helped you really make the shift in your mind to give yourself that permission, was that when we think about the fact that we desire more, I truly believe that our desires are our soul-seeking expansion, right? It's the truth of who we are, wanting to come through bigger and brighter and so forth. And that also means that when we do that, there has to be a match for it. There has to be someone who desires expansion at that level as well. And I think we talked about the fact that your fee, while it's fun for you, right, it stretches you mentally and emotionally, challenges you to think bigger, tap into higher levels of your genius. I mean, you get lit up when you're charging what you desire to charge for the brilliance that you offer to your clients, the life transforming, tools and strategies and ideas that you share with your clients, the space that you hold for them to grow, to hold their bigness and their messiness, all that kind of good stuff. And it's also part of your client's accountability, right? That your clients desire, many, many clients desire to invest in themselves at a higher level. Money gets their attention, right? Money allows them to focus. Money allows them to stretch their own capacity, right? So when we look at it from both perspectives, from the benefit that we get, as well as the benefit that the client gets, it's a win-win. And then it's a no-brainer. It's like, okay, come on, of course, let's do this, right? So
Right.
I'm really excited for you. All right, is there anything else that, well, actually I have two more questions. So one question is, was there anything that would have stopped you from moving forward with working with me? Was there anything going on in your life that made you, actually I have an idea now that I asked the question, but do you remember anything that would have stopped you?
Finances.
Yeah.
So money has always kind of, in the past, money was a challenge, right? Like I was fighting tooth and nail. I was climbing up the side of the mountain. Like I said, I was like really like busting my ass to get it. And so in our first call, when we talked about the investment, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. And then we talked a little bit more. And then I remember I was sitting outside in the courtyard of the building that I'm in. And I remember like, just like kind of sitting back and like releasing in my body. And I heard this voice that said, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, how are other women going to invest in you? And I was like, shit. And it stretched me. I mean, super transparency. It stretched me. And I was like, again, that voice popped back up, like, I should have this all figured out right now. Why do I have to pay this kind of money to get more help? Like, I should just have it all. And then I was just like, no, like, Desiree has been popping up in your life for the last couple of months, and you keep seeing her. And so, fun story, like how you and I came in contact. I don't remember the first initial like point of contact, but I joined your group and I would listen to the videos and I would, watch things. And I was like kind of a silent stalker. And then I would go to your website and like start to fill out the form. And then I was like, nah, not today. I'm not doing it. Because I knew that when I hit submit, you were going to hold me accountable to shifting things, and I wasn't ready. And then I was driving to work one day and I was like, God, universe, spirits, just when I get to like, give me one solid sign today, what you want me to do next. What is the one thing that you want me to do? And don't you know, I get to my office, I turn on my computer, and there's your beautiful face. And I was like, son of a bitch. And that day I submitted it, and here we are today. So one of the best investments that I've ever made, but it stretched me, it took me out of my comfort zone. But I looked at it as an investment in myself.
Yes.
And I also looked at it as raising my frequency, again, to like put myself in that frequent, wave, so to speak, to also then invite the women that I want to work with and that I am now working with that are ready to invest in themselves as well. So that was probably my biggest hang up, but we got over it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Also, if I can add in there too, like I just found a way.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer that when we're ready to do something, we figure it out. Like, you don't have to have all the answers. There are options. Like, when we're truly like committed to something, we always figure it out. And I just figured it out.
Yeah. I love that you said that. I'm so excited that you shared this, because you are an example of like my ideal client. You are an ideal client because you're the type of woman who knows what she wants, and you're going to get it, right? You're going to figure it out, like you said. And you led yourself, even though you went to the website a couple of times and you didn't feel that you were ready. Here's the thing, the desire doesn't go away, right?
Yeah.
If something keeps gnawing at you, if something keeps poking at you, that's the thing. That's the direction you need to go in. And it doesn't matter how many times you go and you stop. What matters is that you eventually go, right? And I love that you did that. Like, you just put your foot on the gas and you're like, let's go do this, right? And it is supposed to stretch you. The investment is supposed to stretch you, right? The experience is supposed to stretch you because you desire to expand. That's what we're all meant for, right? And it takes a lot of courage to do that, to come to terms with yourself, to say that, you know what, I've done really well for myself where I am right now, but now it's time to go from good to great. And in order to go from good to great, I want support. I don't necessarily need it, but I want it, because having it is going to save me so much time. It's going to give me my life back, right? And what I'm going to learn is going to stay with me for my entire lifetime. You know, what we did together in the couple of weeks that we worked together can literally take you to multiple seven figures. That's what it can do for you. And when you look at things from that perspective, then it's a no-brainer. But then you also have to be confronted with fear of success. You know, I wrote a post the other day about the fact that so often we let money be the reason that we stay small, right? Yep. We tell ourselves we can't have what we want. It's not time yet. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. Who am I to have it? All those kind of things. It's just you're using money as the tool or the reason to stay small, and we often don't recognize it. We look at money and we think that we don't have control, but we actually do. We have so much more control over the money that we invite into our experience, and so much of it starts with desire. So much of it starts with decision. I desire this thing. I decide I'm going to have it, and then the way to have it appears. You don't have to have it all in the bank to make the next step. You just got to make the decision, and that's exactly what you did. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed working with you so much. And I knew that success was inevitable for you, right? Because I don't take on a client that I don't believe actually has the heart to implement what I share and get the results that are available to everybody, right? Everyone can achieve whatever they want, but not everybody will do it. And I could see in you that you just had it. And that's what you're doing right now. So I'm really excited for you. So
yeah, you know, the other thing about the investment too is, you know, it required me to show up different, right? This was a different level of investment for me. And I was like, I'm going to get out of this, what I came to do. You know what I mean? So, you know, you can take a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, online courses, do it on your own, but you know, inevitably it sits in your inbox, or you don't do it, or you don't show up to the calls, or like all these things. And I was like, no, I'm in this. Like, I'm ready to break through. I'm ready to do this. So, you know, it required me to show up differently, and I did.
I'm glad you said that, because it absolutely does. Money gets people's attention, but I also believe that there comes a point in our life where we decide, I'm worth this. Like, I am just worth this. I want this, and I'm going to do this for myself, right? And it's a special moment, I believe, in every woman's life where you say to yourself that doesn't matter what my past experiences were, I have this vision, and I'm worth investing in myself to realize this vision. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm going to show up like the version of me who already has it. And I'm going to get this shit done and make it happen. And that's exactly what you did. So,
yeah,
I mean, you know, like, to you for doing it. I love it. And the last question I have for you is there anything that you would like to share? Like, anything else that comes up for you that you want the people who are watching this to take away from this? Any words of wisdom, anything?
Yeah. So I have a couple of things, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
So one of the other big shifts that I was able to make with you was releasing a bunch of services that I was offering that no longer served me. Like I was so like in the trenches and all these different things that I was doing. And so I just became hyper aware of my energy when I was doing certain types of projects. And I was like, we're not going to offer those anymore. Deleted, gone, like literally overnight. And so that gives me the time, the capacity, and the energy to do more and only the things that really light me up. And that's been pretty transformative. one of the other things that you really helped me with too was when I came to you, I was really back and forth between like my two brands.
Yeah.
So I have a branding agency. That's what I've done for the last 20 years. It's what I know. I mean, I couldn't do that shit in my sleep. And then so over the beginning of the pandemic, I launched my personal brand, which is Laura Aura. And I was in this like back and forth war of like, I have to choose either or. And that kept me so stuck that, you know, how could I possibly give all of my love and attention and energy into both companies? And you were like, we went back and forth and trying to figure some things out. That's when we got rid of a bunch of branding services that no longer aligned. And you were like, I'll never forget the day. You were like, Laura, I feel like you're one of those women that can run 2 6 or 7 figure companies. And I was like, what? What? Like, I don't have to choose. Like, I'm really incredible at branding. And I'm also really incredible at mindset coaching. So like, why does one have to go? And I don't know. I just think that sometimes we work in this space of black and white. Like it has to be this or this. There's no in between. And I'm like, I'm not normal to begin with. So why would I do anything like anyone else does? And so my numbers are blowing my mind right now. Like where I am today compared to where I was a year ago is night and day. And from where I was emotionally and financially when you and I started working together compared to now is night and day. Like things just show up now that I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, it's almost that feeling like everything I've ever seen and felt is now entering because I got out of my own fucking way. Like, that's it. That's it. Like, I literally have goosebumps right now. Like it's showing up and it's because I released it. And that's because of the work that you and I did together. Like, I don't have to choose. You don't have to choose. Like, if your heart sings for 2 songs, then sing 2 fucking songs. Like, you don't have to be one or the other. I think a lot of times, again, like society teaches us like, oh, you do too many things and it's not good for you. And how are you going to, you're not me. I'm a powerhouse, and that's not to say that you're not, but I just have a very unique set of skills and a very unique energy. And I know where I best serve this world. I know where I best serve myself. So that was a huge realization moment. And my branding agency is skyrocketing. My personal brand is growing by the day. Like I can just feel the momentum and it's fucking cool.
And you're just showing up so more like yourself, you know, like when I check you out on Instagram, I'm like, who is this woman? I love it, right? It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
just joined TikTok as well. So I resisted TikTok for a long time and I'm like, no, yes, no, yet. And I got on there and I'm like, this is just another platform for me to be able to show who I am. And I found my thing, helping women take their power back is my thing. And so, I make these, I think I've told you when we were working together, I started making these like kind of ridiculous little 15, 60-second videos on Instagram Reels. And it was just a way for me to like flex showing up and using my voice. And now it's just fun. You know what I mean? Like there's a different energy when you show up on platforms and you're just having fun and you're being yourself. And people are magnetized to that. Like my numbers grow daily. I cannot make that up, but it's because they're, energetically in line with me and there's some magic to be had.
What you just said you said a lot of things really that were really good. One of the things I want to touch on is the last thing was the energy piece. It's so important. It doesn't matter what type of energy you carry. It just needs to be authentic, right? It's got to be you. So some people are bouncing off the wall excited. Some people are more grounded. It really doesn't matter as long as the energy that's coming through you is a match to the people that you desire to serve. And I think that's really important when we allow ourselves to be more of who we are. I was just actually on a panel the other day where people were talking, we were giving great advice on marketing and positioning yourself and all that good stuff, which was great. But one of the things I really cautioned against is, boxing ourselves in and trying to do what we think we should do and follow all these rules, because we tend to then get in our heads and lose sight of who we actually are. So one of the things I love about the way that you do your marketing is that you are fully, authentically Laura Aura. Like there's nobody else who can copy you, which is what makes you so magnetizing to your people. So I'm really happy that you were able to tap into that and give yourself permission to shine in that way, to not have to mute your voice or hold back any aspect of your personality. You just shine brightly, and the people that are meant to work with you are magnetized to you because of that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Love it.
Yeah, I guess one of the last pieces I want to leave, whoever's watching with is, you're watching this for a reason. Desiree's showing up on your Facebook feed or in your LinkedIn for a reason. You already know the answer inside of you. And look, this woman is fire. She held me accountable. She kicked my ass in the most loving of gentle ways, and has helped me, like, literally, I could cry, honestly, just to get my life back. I'm operating at the space that I always knew that I could. I'm starting to bring in the money that I always knew that I could. I know that it's only up from here. This is literally just the groundbreaking ceremony of this new chapter of my life. And I pay a lot of tribute and thanks to Desiree to helping me do that. So just submit the damn form. Just do it. You want to.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you. So thanks for taking your time here today. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Well, let people know how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in the course, the Power Back, or even your one-on-one work.
Yeah, absolutely. So lauraaura.com. It's LAURAAURA.com. I'm on all the social platforms at that Laura Aura, but on my website, there's access to everything, including the Power Back course, one-on-one Power Back sessions. You can also access the Gutsy podcast on the website or on iTunes or all the major platforms. I'm talking specifically to female entrepreneurs about taking your power back. I've got freaking awesome guests that share nuggets of information. And stop by on Instagram, say hi. That's where I live most of the time.
Awesome. I mean, you have huge guests. So people, get on that podcast, get on her website, book a call with Laura. She's amazing. So thank you again for your time here, Laura. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to hear more of all the awesomeness that you're up to. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh.